I know words. I have the best words.
This is All the Best Words with Matt Murphy and Cameron Smith.
Really?
Yeah.
What was it about Buck Naked that you did not care for? What are the benefits of the Armachillo line?
It's the chilling. It's got to keep everything cool, you know?
Your boys?
Yeah.
I don't think I overheat.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, I get hot.
In the South, I'm always
get
looking
that.
for the edge on materials that keep things cool.
I get that. But one way or the other, Duluth, it's where it's at. I mean, totally, I never thought that I would be in a place in my life where I was paying, $20
Yeah.
for a pair of underpants. But totally worth it.
I usually wait till they all their ugly designs are on sale, and I get them on clearance because I don't care.
I'm literally wearing a tie-dyed pair of underwear right now that were like half off.
Yeah.
They're not currently half off. That would be weird. They were half off when we purchased them.
That's fair.
Mm-hmm. Hello, and welcome to yet another edition, a titillating edition of All the Best Words. My name is Matt Murphy, and I say all the best words.
My name's Cameron Smith. I write all the best words.
And we appreciate you being here. Do us a favor. If you like what you hear, I mean, we try to get in here and get out in little 15-minute chunks. If you like what you hear, if you like what you see, like, subscribe, maybe tell a friend or a neighbor about us. We would appreciate it.
We would.
We would be greatly appreciative of all of that. If you're new to the channel, new to what we do, I bring a word. Cameron brings a word. I don't know what Cameron's word is. He doesn't know what my word is, and we talk about those words. That's why we call the podcast All the Best Words.
It's a great name.
It is a good name. What is your word, sir?
Boom.
Boom.
Yes, boom.
Okay.
That is the sound of that drug runner boats in the Gulf of Mexico make when
They
hit
go boom.
by a missile. They go boom. And I've actually really been thinking about this because the truth is, if a drug runner dies in the Gulf of Mexico, does anyone care? And the answer is pretty clearly no. But does that mean that it's legally permissible to handle things that way? I think that's a different question because even though the constituency certainly isn't one that we're empathetic towards or that we care too much about, I care very much about the Constitution. I care very much about the rule of law and that we are a nation of laws rather than men. Because I think one of the most dangerous things that can happen in the United States is someone with political power making unilateral decisions about who lives and who dies. Now, there are certain legally permissible spaces where that can happen. That can happen in a matter of self-defense. It can happen if there's an authorization for military force, a declaration of war, or we have the death penalty. And you can have a process go through and say, you've conducted yourself in a manner worthy of this penalty, and it's been adjudicated as such. That's where I'm kind of concerned about the gray area of these killings. It's fascinating to watch a keyhole camera image of a boat and then boom, fire, gone.
Boom.
And the Trump administration, the DOD, has been pretty excited about these things. They're like, hey, we're getting them. They like to put out the video and show folks, which I get. I mean, I understand why people don't want drug dealers to do well. I mean, that's pretty obvious. The question I have is this wartime activity or is it criminal law enforcement? Or is it something else? Because what I see is the Trump administration has tried to stretch this as, well, there was a 2001 authorization of military force from Congress related to 9/11, right? And that was dealing with those terrorist organizations that perpetrated 9/11.
Right.
And it was probably stretched a little bit beyond that in that area in the Middle East, but it was generally, these are the entities that mastermind this or were involved with this and sort of the, follow on to those entities. This is a little bit different because it's not even related geographically into the same area. The administration has said these are a different kind of terrorists. These are these narco-terrorists, but they're still terrorists. And so we have some authority. My question is the Fifth Amendment.
They're terrorists because we've designated them as such.
Sure. The question then is...
And wasn't that a unilateral designation?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Right.
It was unilateral by the administration saying we've...
So the same really singular entity, President Trump, designated people a terrorist organization and then says the designation authorizes the killing of those people,
Right.
which is problematic.
It is. And I think that we have to separate the emotion here and say, look, don't forget how you feel about the drug dealers.
Mhm.
What if this was, guns? What if this was whatever, right? And the truth is, neither you or I know who's involved here.
All right, so I feel like Cameron and I know one another well enough that I feel like Cameron might think he's about to get clapped back. But here's what might surprise you. I'm becoming increasingly concerned about these activities because they are happening more and more regularly. When it was a 1 or 2 off, I was like, okay, there's some constitutional questions here, but does anybody really give a crap if a couple of drug runners or 10 or 12 drug runners?
Like the drug runners organization is not going to sue.
Right. No one really gives a crap. But now we seem to be doing it with a bit of regularity.
And flair.
And so my question becomes, and this is an example that I happened to think of last night when I was coming up with my word, which oddly enough relates very much to yours. Let's say that I'm a Border Patrol agent on the southern border and I see someone bringing what I am certain to be is a large amount of fentanyl on their back walking toward the southern border, and I shoot and kill them in Mexico. Isn't that the same thing?
Yes.
Is that what we want? Do we want, and I'm not saying the answer to that would be universally no, Cameron. I think some people would be like, the hell with them, right? And I understand that sentiment from an emotional standpoint. These people are bringing in drugs that are potentially killing tens of thousands.
But use it a different way.
People.
Just say that there's an individual. You don't know whether they're a citizen or not. They're carrying a gun, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And they're clearly armed. They hadn't pulled that gun or anything. And you do the same thing and you just shoot them.
Right. Right, yeah, and so I'm becoming increasingly concerned about it. Civil rights, human liberties matter, and I understand the distinction between we are at war with a designated group of people versus this is a criminal activity. But when you're the entity that can declare that a particular group is a terrorist organization, then everyone's a terrorist organization at your desire and determination,
right?
Which leads directly in to my word, which is narco-state, right? Because my concern about the one-off boat shooting, the booms, grew when we started talking about the frustration that we had with Venezuela generally,
sure,
and how the leadership of Venezuela has turned Venezuela into a narco-state. And I looked it up because I wanted to make sure that we're all on the same page here. A narco-state is a country where the economy and political institutions are heavily influenced or controlled by the illegal drug trade, applied to nations where the wealth and power of drug trafficking has permeated legitimate government and society. I think it's fair to say Colombia is a narco-state.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's fair to say that Venezuela, if not already, is becoming a narco-state because they don't really have anything else to lean on because they've destroyed the rest of their economy. Thank you, Hugo Chavez and now Maduro.
Oil.
Right, right. I mean, they have that, but the sanctions or whatever. So we are really good at breaking crap. We're really, really good at killing people, as evidenced by the booms. We are not good at all about nation building. And I just want to know who in the Trump administration is pushing this angle. Someone is, and I don't know who it is. I don't know if it's Rubio.
It feels a lot like regime change, man.
That's what I'm talking about. So if you can't get Maduro to stop the Venezuelan drug boats, the next step is to top him over. Now, he is very precarious in his own country because the people are sick and tired of being made. There's a lot of promises coming in Venezuela. They never fulfill the promises. They've destroyed their economy. These people are living, just hand to mouth. It's a bad, bad place to be. And so he is very, very tenuously in power right now. And if the American government decides that they want to be the entity that tips him over, then we have to defend whatever comes next. And we've tried to do this crap before, and it never worked. We always become the bad guy.
Well, we've got, right now, a naval armada
Right.
off the coast of Venezuela. And
I'm not comfortable with that.
well, and this kind of goes back to all this of, man, the Constitution was a great freaking document.
Mhm.
And the Fifth Amendment to it, talking about we can't take life, liberty, or property without due process of law, and the federal government can't do that. Like, it's not that we can't do those things. It's that we have to have the process of law there.
Well, on the other hand, I could argue that this is the United States military doing these operations, and these are military operations exterior to the United States of America's
They are.
borders. They're in international waters. So there's nothing necessarily illegal that's happening. I just wonder how far are we willing to let this go before we enter the arena of nation building that never works.
Well, and if the idea is that if people are in international waters, you can just blow them up
Fair
with
game.
impunity. I mean, we don't want that for us.
Right.
So, I mean, I
We'll
think
very quickly become the bad guys
Right.
around the globe.
this is not going to go well because this is the type of stuff that you remember the Houthis and these other rebels that are literally blowing up stuff in the middle of the ocean, that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And we're like, that's bad. You shouldn't do that. And then we're doing that.
Right.
And then other people be like, that's bad. And I think we just have to question authority enough to say, hey, can you just tell me the authority that you have to do the thing?
Well, and what's the goal? Is the goal to stop illegal drugs from coming into the United States of America? Okay, sure. I mean, or is the goal to initiate regime change in Venezuela? I mean, what's the goal?
Right. But because my question is, you do realize there's like a landmass, like they don't have to put drugs on boats. And
Right. And many of them are not. So it comes to a point where we have to start asking these questions in a legitimate way as to whether or not we're going to have troops. Once again, you break it, you buy it kind of thing. And if Maduro goes down because of U.S. action and intervention, then we have an obligation to those people. We have created an obligation to those people
Well,
in
and is
Venezuela
Congress-
to go in there and protect them.
Is a MAGA house, are the Republicans in the Senate going to say, you know what? We want to go to war with Venezuela.
Let's go, man.
I mean, I think the answer is pretty
Well,
clearly no.
And that's why I asked the question, Cameron, who's behind this? Because Donald Trump, I think he's earnest. He's done it enough where he wanted to be the quote-unquote president of peace. He thought he could do the Ukraine thing. It hasn't happened. But he's done it in many other, not conflicts necessarily, but disagreements that were about to lead to wars, huge trade negotiations in Cambodia, et cetera. And obviously the Middle East, right? So it seems that he's pretty consistent that he wants to stop killing, not start it. And then there's this that feels like we're
Feels
just
weird.
building up to an occupation of Venezuela.
I thought MAGA was isolationist.
Right.
I literally was I am on record as criticizing
For being
MAGA
too
for being too isolationist.
Right.
And now I'm like, guys, we're very close. Now they won't call it this. There will be like, it's a contingency operation. I'm like, well, what do you call it when you overthrow the government of a foreign country with a bunch of battleships?
I mean, and to their credit, they're being very open about all of this. Like, I don't pretend, I'm not naive enough to pretend that America hasn't engaged in these types of activities for a long time, secretly,
Yeah.
covertly, but they're just doing it in the wide open. Yeah, we're killing people. Boom. Don't worry about it. Narco state. That's the way it goes. Boom, narco state. That's the way it goes on all the best words. I don't pretend that this episode has answers, just a lot of questions.
Yeah. Boom.
And a lot of booms. We'll be back next time. Like, subscribe, tell your friends. We'll see you next time on All the Best Words.